Hello, and thank you for tuning into Her Brand, Her Way, where we amplify the voices of women, specifically women who are making a difference in the world and using their powers for good. Her Brand, Her Way was created to highlight women who have activated their purpose and are building their dynamic brands. I truly believe that by coming together and sharing our stories, we can inspire and empower each other to reach new heights. I'm your host, Glennis Jones, and in this episode, I'm chatting with Monique Thornton, founder and CEO of Let's Talk Public Health. Monique is a passionate public health professional that hopes to shape how future generations learn about health communication and promotion. I need to also add that my girl is a recipient of the George Washington University Impact Award and University of Maryland's Public Health Emerging and Engaging Leaders Award. She definitely shared some nuggets, so get your notepad ready and check it out. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for just agreeing to come and chat with me and talk to me a little bit. Y'all, I've known Monique for, we were just talking about it, over 10 years now. And so I know her as Mo. So if I talk to her and I say Mo, that's Monique. But I'm excited to have Monique as my first guest. I've been talking to Monique about this for a while, and I said, Mo, I want to talk with women who are doing some amazing things, building these amazing brands, and they're doing it their way, not in this prescriptive format, but they are figuring out, they're tackling the challenges, they're overcoming the roadblocks. And when I talked to her about this, not realizing that she would be the first person that I would talk to talk about how she has built her amazing brand, and just to drop some nuggets for us on this episode. So I'm truly excited to have her here. So, but before we get into who is Monique and what's all the wonderful things that she's doing, Mo, I have one question for you first. Okay, so that's going to kick it off. How would you describe your brand in 3 words? And go.
Okay, it's funny because I just want to be like public health. That's the core of my brand. But
that's one word, Mo. That's one word.
I feel like when I think about the vibe I want my brand to have when anybody engages with any touch point that's Let's Talk Public Health, I want them to feel inspired. I want them to feel informed, I left them with something that they can use. And I guess another one might be innovative, or at least open. Sometimes we have to fail and try some tactics that don't work for us to figure out what does work, and that's how we innovate. And so that's just another one.
Inspired, informative, or informed, and innovate, or open. I like open. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So I want y'all watching, I want you to remember those 3 words as we're going through our conversation, and just realize how they just totally align with everything that Mo is going to share with us as we chat a little bit. So Mo, tell the people a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay. So I guess the big picture is that I'm a public health professional, and I run my own business, Let's Talk Public Health. So I'm supporting different types of public health organizations and brands and businesses with their communication, marketing, branding, some storytelling, just generally how they engage and interact with people, whether it's the public, folks out in the community, or partner organizations or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess the other half of my, even I don't know if half is fair, maybe quarter. It should be half, but the other quarter of my existence, I would say I'm a creative writer. I'm working on a novel. I do some songwriting and some screenwriting. I just love writing and creating. So that's kind of what I spend my time doing. Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to, you said a quarter. So you have, would you say you have 2 brands? Because you said a quarter of you do this and then you do that. How would you or you kind of just see it all together collective as one?
Yeah, I see them as overlapping.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of market myself and position myself that way. Um, so I kind of in my like LinkedIn bio, it says like public health, communication and marketing, and then creative writing. Those are like the three things. And they all
Mm-hmm.
intertwine. And I'm all about like public health using more creative writing and the arts to communicate with people because it's those storylines in our favorite shows. It's the songs that we hear that kind of like connect with us and engage and move us and
Mm-hmm.
make us receptive to experiencing what other people may be going through. And we need that in this world. So to me, they're one and the same. But the
Yeah.
public health side definitely gets more love these days. But I am carving out more time and like more consistently taking time to write. Yeah. So
Okay. Good, good, good. No, that's helpful. I wanted folks to kind of just hear because I like you they overlap, right? Because sometimes
yeah.
folks may be battling with this, professional versus personal, or is it all personal, but realizing that you are you, right? And so you just may show up differently in different settings, right? So
Yeah.
um, I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of your brand journey, like even before you started Let's Talk Public. Actually, did we talk about how you started Let's Talk Public Health? Let's take a step back.
No. Okay.
Where did Let's Talk Public Health? And look, I'm talking because I know all the tea, but let's tell everyone, where did Let's Talk Public Health start? How was it birth?
So, I think I was just kind of, I think it's something we all go through. Like we get to a point where we're looking around and we're like, okay, like maybe you have a job now and the job is doing the job it's supposed to do, which is help you pay your bills, right? But
Right.
then there's something inside of you that is feeling unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can only ignore that feeling for so long. And I tried for so long to like compartmentalize and like swallow that down because I needed that paycheck.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where Let's Talk Public Health was waiting. Like, like I'm down here, please let me out. Uh, um, so it started probably like 2 or so years after undergrad. Um, you remember this, we're
Mm-hmm.
in the cafe, we're talking, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, I'm like, I just have this idea. And back then it was really just like a website. I'm like, I just want to have this outlet where I can talk about the things that interest me. And I was really interested in connecting the dots between public health and the creative and how like we need to be innovative in how we're engaging with folks. Um, and and it just has kind of grown from there, mainly because of you, because of the conversation we had, and going through the process with you, and like really figuring out like I had all these ideas, but they were kind of all jumbled and all over the place. And so like working with you to kind of just figure out like how do all these things connect and how can I put this together and start to think about how I can move forward and like what is my overall goal and what are all these little moving pieces and how are they contributing and just kind of wrapping my mind around. And like once I kind of understood and had that clear picture, then it it was like, okay, now I know what I need to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
started taking the steps. I bought the domain name, and Let's Talk Public Health is actually the 2.0. Before Let's Talk Public Health, it was Escape Artist.
Yes,
And
I
that
remember Escape
existed.
Artist. Yep,
That
yep.
that existed for like a good year. And then I was like, wait, no, this isn't quite it. Let's go back. And I literally pulled up the document that we did together and I was like, okay, I would astray. Let me get back on it. And then that's how Let's Talk Public Health came about.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. And y'all, I didn't tell Monique to say that. It's not a shameless plug
She
for
did
me.
it. She did not.
Not at all. Because actually, I that's why Monique is here because she did the thing. She was like, she knew it was something there. She was like, I'm going to jump out here and do it. She inspires me. So anyway, I wanted to, you said about, so you had a different domain name and then you were like, nope, that's not it. And then you're like, I'm going to change it to something else. And that just made me think of that. It's okay that if you have something that you can change it. Like it doesn't, if
Oh
that's
yeah.
not, if that's not the vibe, if that's not it, you can change it. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But it also made me think about like what other types of maybe challenges or roadblocks that you've kind of faced along the way, and kind of what you've learned from. So wait, so how long have you been doing Let's Talk Public Health as kind of
So
as your full time?
okay, so full time started in 2022.
Okay, 2022,
Yeah.
and I know that you were doing some consulting before that. So since then, kind of what were some of those roadblocks or challenges, and kind of what you've learned from
Oh yeah. Some of them are like the universal ones, just like
that?
a lot of fear of the unknown, um, not having a steady paycheck, um, figuring out health insurance. Like it was some of just like the technical things, like making sure that I'm fulfilling all of the different compliance related things, and I'm nobody's going to show up at my door and lock me up like that. Literally had anxiety about that. Like,
You are
did
Uncle
I do
Sam sitting
everything?
outside your door talking about.
Did I do yes, like, did I do everything that I need to
Right.
do? And I mean, like, I don't have an MBA. I have a master's, but it's in public health communication and marketing. So a lot of this was like going online. I say that to say like that you don't need an MBA to start a business if that's something that you want to do. Um, I was right online, LLC University. I was right on the website. I was calling up Glennis. Glennis said, "Did I do all the steps? Did I miss anything?" Just like that part of it, just getting everything like set up and making sure I like cover my bases. Then the fear of like failing is always a fear that like just never goes away.
Yeah.
Um, and then just like one thing that was a challenge, but also like a reward, um, was what I've learned about myself along this process.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a person that has a lot of anxiety, a lot.
Mhm.
And for me to like step out and then like do this full time and figure it out, and then also just like understand and find my own way. Um, that
Yeah.
was really hard, but I was able to do it even though I had so much anxiety like leading up, like the 6 months leading up to when I actually like made the decision, like I am gonna quit my 9 to 5 and do Let's Talk Public Health full time. I would literally have dreams. I was praying all the time. I had so much anxiety. I was, like, at that point where I can no longer swallow down that feeling of, like, what I'm doing isn't it, and pushing through that and starting the business and having that conversation with my mom, because, she was like, "You're gonna do what? You're gonna quit your job and do what? You don't have another job lined up? You're gonna do your own business? You don't have no clients?" Like, I survived that
Sure.
conversation,
This is a tip.
like
This is a tip. Don't tell your mother. Don't tell your mother.
like, I made it through all of that, and I've been able to just pivot, like, give yourself credit. That's what I've learned, is I've learned how to give myself credit, and,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
I feel like as women, we're conditioned to, like, shrink ourselves, um, and so much of the marketing that's done to us makes us doubt ourselves. We have a lot of imposter syndrome, and
Mm.
just like giving yourself credit, and like believing in yourself and just seeing that through. um that was just like the hardest thing for me, was like being like, okay, like, no, we can do this, and if something comes up, we'll panic and have an anxiety attack because we are an anxious person, and then we are going to pivot and we're going to deal with it and we're going to move on. And like just learning that I'm able to do that, um for me was like one of the biggest rewards. um I wish I was one of those people who could just be like, "Ooh, like I'm not worried about nothing," but I'm not like that. I'm worried about everything, and I'm still out here doing this. So,
That's awesome. Your point about not giving ourselves enough credit, like we are amazing. Like women are just absolutely amazing, which is why I
yes.
want to have these conversations with women because I don't know, think the world sometimes realize how amazing we are, right? So the fact that you just, it sounds like to me you stepped out on faith and
I did, yes.
and you put it in action and move forward and you truly have a testimony that you can share with others, which is why we're doing this too, because I want others to hear that yes, you were scared, yes, you were nervous, yes, you were anxious, yes, mama had a whole fit, but
She
you
did.
you, you stepped out on faith and did what you had to do. So um I had another question, but I think I'm going to come back to that because I want to, when we wrap up, I want you to tell me about the future of Let's Talk Public Health. So, and
Okay.
um, where you see it going. I'm all about the vision, right? So,
Yeah.
um, so, you were talking about how basically it sounds like you couldn't sleep at night. It was kind of just this frog in your throat, like you're just like, it's just I have to, right? Um,
Yeah.
so that actually aligns with my next question. What does it mean to you when I say to activate your purpose? What does that mean?
I think it really is just what we were talking about. Like, I feel like all of us know. We know. Um, you can see it in kids, like kids are the best ones to watch because they haven't learned like what society says we should or shouldn't do. So when they don't like something, they're like, "Bleh." Like they have that. We know what we like and
Right,
what we
right.
don't like. And along the way, we get conditioned to maybe be nicer or hide or lie about those things, but innately we know. And it's always been for me, as soon as I learned about public health, I knew that that was going to be a piece of my purpose and what I was going to be doing in
Mhm,
my life.
mhm,
Because it just made so much sense to me. Like, why would we wait until people get sick to do something? There's a whole field that's about preventing that in the first place. And I don't know, I just want to see everybody living the best life that's possible for them. And part of that is making sure that we're in a world that is conducive to our health. So
right,
that
right,
always just that has always clicked for me.
right.
And I think like just listening to that feeling, whatever it is for you, maybe it's the frog in the throat, maybe it's just pit in your stomach. It presents itself in
Mhm,
different ways. But listening to that and tapping into it and figuring out what's really you and what's noise, because there's a lot
mhm.
of noise out there.
Oh
So
my
really
goodness.
figuring that out, there's so much noise. Figuring that out and then leaning into it. And it's kind of like I always say, like, I feel like I'm just kind of in I used to say a pitch black room. Now I can make out mild objects like in front of me, but I feel like I'm in a room, like in the dark, groping, trying to find a light switch. And that's what this process has felt like for me. But
Mhm,
being okay with that feeling, the only way I'm okay with it is because I know I've tapped into this purpose. I know that I am utilizing the gifts that were given to me, and
mhm,
I'm putting those into action. And when you know that and when you feel that feeling, at least for me as a really like anxious person, helps to ease a little bit of that anxiety because I'm like, no, nope, like this is it. I know it's it because I've tried doing this same thing but in other ways and it wasn't working. So like I'm figuring it out my way, and that is how you activate. That is how you do it. At least that's how I feel.
well, I think we can all go home now. Thank you, Monique, for Monique. She's hit the nail on the head about
Uh,
taking your God-given talents. Like when and those of you who are new here, I'm a believer, so God's will always come up in my conversations. Okay, so but you know when God has placed something inside of you, you know when He's giving you a purpose. He's giving you. He's like, you need to take this, and you need to package it. You need to do something with it and bless the world with it, right? Um, and I'm a firm believer that if He gives that to you, He brings you to it, He's not going to just allow you to just flounder around, right? He's going to, even though you feel like you're in that dark room, you're not by yourself in that room, right? There's somebody in front of you that can see. He knows where you're going next, right? So you never have to worry about, I didn't get on here to preach, but you never have to worry about what your next
Go
step
ahead.
is. You have to worry about your next step because you're not in that room by yourself. He's leading the way. He is the light. So you're good. You're good. So so that also, so purpose. So there's something in you. You have to activate. And then that also makes me think of one of the things I really admire about you, Mo, since I met you, is your drive. Like, it's your, like, Mo will figure it out. Okay, if it's whatever it is. If we used to work on projects together, and she was like, I got it, let's do this. And when she figures it out, it's always in this creative, innovative way. It's like, I didn't even think about that. So I really admire your drive. And what's your motivation when you don't feel like it, right? Because you have drive, but sometimes we're not driving all the time, right? Sometimes we run out of gas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is your motivation when you're just like, I don't even feel like doing this anymore. Like, I'm over it. So what keeps you going?
So part of it is still connected to the purpose, right? It's that feeling when things just feel like they're aligned. I don't know how else to describe it, but like you put in the effort, you done the work, you did like this one thing, and you start to see the results, and it starts to connect, and it reinforces, like, okay, yeah, right, this is where I need to be. It's that. Sometimes it's others, and you really do need like people in your circle and in on the court with you that help you. I don't think anybody can really fully tap into their passion and their purpose without having like the right people around. Because I think like God acts through so many different ways. So those people, He puts them there when you're feeling low, when you're feeling down. It's me calling up Glennis and being like, Glennis, I might be unhoused in 3 months because I'm tired. It's it's the having that support from other people. It's even sometimes just like random comments on social media. Like, I don't know if folks know what, like, it's the positive comments, not the trolls. But I don't know if folks realize that sometimes just giving that little nugget of like, this resource was so helpful to me. It's just like,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
I spent
Feedback.
3
We like to
days.
hear.
Yes. I spent 3
Comment.
days putting that together. Thank you. Like, it's those little things. Like, I had someone comment something that was like, you literally made me rethink the way I was thinking about health communication, and I'm going back to school for it. I was like, like that's it. Like, like that is when I'm like, okay, so I'm not crazy. Like, I like this is where this is working. It's those things. It's when I'm doing a training and I see somebody that's like in the audience, and I can see the dots connecting for them. I can see them understanding something new that they never understood before. It's those things that just like, I'm like, okay, yes, that keeps me moving. I'm like, all right, I didn't sleep as much as I should have the week leading up to that training, but seeing those dots connect and knowing that that person's going to take whatever they learned back into their community and use it to help make it healthier, help folks. Like, I'm like, okay, that's it. All right. Cup refilled. That's
Yeah,
that keeps me
yeah,
going.
yes, yes, yes. That you're spot on. Like, and sometimes when we're doing things, when we're putting things out there into the atmosphere, you just never know where it's going to land. You know it in your mind. You're like, I'm hoping that someone receives this, resonates with someone, right? And then when
Yeah.
when you get that confirmation, when it's just like, and it's not like you need this for validation, but when somebody responds, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'm on the right track. I got this. I got
Yeah.
this. So that's definitely something to keep it going. Hint, hint. You can comment down below and just tell us how great this year.
Yes,
If
please.
you'd like to, if you'd like to hear some more. So let's be there for a little bit. So what's one piece of advice? You've already dropped tons of nuggets and tons of advice here. But what's that one piece of advice you would offer to another woman that is pursuing her passion? Like maybe I'm thinking of, this is someone who's kind of stuck. Like she knows, just like you did, that there was something inside of her and she just didn't really know how to activate it, how to move forward. What would be your one piece of advice to her?
My piece of advice would be, it's gonna sound weird, but I promise it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm a little biased because I do like writing. So my piece of advice is journaling. And I say journaling because journaling forces you to sit with those feelings, to verbalize those feelings. And it's a good way to just be able to check back into where you were. Because
Mm-hmm.
as nice as it is to get some of that like external validation, like, yeah, I'm on the right track. Like there's so much, like we said, there's so much noise. And I think in a digital space where we have social media and it's so easy to check in on everyone else's lives and what they're doing and where they are, that we have to be intentional about finding ways to do that with ourselves. And for me, it's journaling, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like anybody is their full selves on social media. We give little pieces of us. We present ourselves a
Mm-hmm.
certain way. So
Mm-hmm.
journaling is where I am honest. Like I have been journaling on and off. It's not, I'm trying to be a person who like journals every day, but that's not how it goes. But I'll at least pick up the pen and journal at least once every 3 to 4 months. And then sometimes I'm doing it every week. It really is when I find that when I'm in flux and I feel like life has become a little misaligned, that's when I turn to journaling and start to pick up my activity. But
Yeah.
it's a way to check in, to see where you were before, to remember those feelings. Like anytime I'm like, oh, I think I might just dissolve this business and go back to working for somebody else, I can turn back to my journal from 2021 when I was
Yeah.
trying to sit down and work through those feelings I was feeling that were keeping me up at night. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, right? We don't want to go back there. Like we've progressed so much since then. So it's just a
Yeah.
way that I'm able to like check in with myself and be like, no, no, no. Like
Yeah.
we're good. Keep on keeping on.
Yep, exactly. I absolutely love journaling. Like that's how I ended up with the devotional. Like all of those nuggets in there, I went back through like at least 5 different journals and went back to about things that I wrote. Um, there's a woman that I follow, and she said that journaling is like gives you the opportunity to see your soul, right? You just kind of you write it
Mm,
all out, and
yes.
it's something about coming back to what you wrote some months later and like, oh girl, you were going through it.
Yep.
And look at you now. You were going
Yes.
through it. Or when you're in a space and you can go back and be like, I have receipts. Like I did this.
Mm-hmm.
I did this already. So
Yep.
what am I tripping off of? So yes, amen to journaling, because I journal daily.
Yeah.
Yes, every morning I make time just to, even if it's just I'm not feeling this today, check back with me tomorrow.
Yeah.
So when tomorrow comes, I'm like, what was my issue? But yes, definitely journal. So y'all heard that Mo said that if you're stuck, if you're feeling some kind of way, and you're kind of just like, you don't know what's next, get a journal. And it could be, and I know y'all got tons of journals. Everybody collect journals. Sticky note pad, something, and just write it out. Like, write out your thoughts. Like, what is it? So
Or
uh,
or if you're not big on writing, or like these days I feel like I'm starting to get carpal tunnel. Lord help me. If
oh
your
no.
hands are hurting or you just want to be hands-free, video journaling, I always find that to be a fun way
Oh.
to do it too. When I usually, like, if I haven't checked in a while, instead of like trying to write everything down, I will just put my phone up, hit that camera, put the camera, hit record, and just be like, okay, so here's the update, and just run through everything. And it's kind of funny to watch them. Like, I have some from like when I was in college, like undergrad, and I'm like, look at baby
Oh my
Mo. Like,
goodness.
even back then, there were
Yeah.
pieces of, and I'm like, oh wow, like it's just another way to do it. If you're like, well, I don't really want to write, or you're like, that's a waste of paper, you can do it electronically.
Oh, video journaling. I might have to try that. I don't think I've tried that. Okay. Yeah, that's a nugget for me. Um, so Mo, I could talk to you all day long. But I do have some things I want to hit on. So um you talked a little bit about the people in your work, and just um the field of public health, and the importance of that. We know the importance of that. So when you decided to start Let's Talk Public Health, um, what was some of the thought about how you could ultimately impact people? Was that,
Yeah.
I know that had to be in your equation when you were just thinking about,
Yeah.
and building. So what was some of the thought there?
Yeah. The more I reflect on it, the more I think that was a good chunk of the dissatisfaction I had in my like 9 to 5 before. Like, I love the work that we were doing. I just wanted to be able to come down a couple levels and to
Mm,
connect and get a little bit closer to, like, I'm not necessarily going to be a frontline person. I'm not a clinician in any way. I
mhm,
could do like a health education program or something like that, but I just wanted to be able to connect more closely with people and see the
mhm,
impact a little bit more.
mhm,
And when you're doing campaigns at the federal level, it can feel very disconnected, you know?
mhm,
You don't really know, especially because my focus has been like digital and social media content creation and strategy. So
mhm,
it's like, who really looked at this? Who really saw it? You know, who are
mhm.
these 12,000 impressions? Not, you know, it can feel
Yes.
really disconnected. And so when I was starting Let's Talk Public Health, I really knew that I wanted to shake up my clientele and I wanted to work on a more local level. So while I do still support some federal work, like I wanted to work more with like state or like city health
Mhm,
departments,
mhm, mhm,
or work with community-based organizations and nonprofits. And and that way I could be a little bit more connected to the staff who are actually out on the front lines and doing the work,
mhm, mhm.
and I could feel a little bit more and see a little bit more of the impact. Because for me, I like to see that. I like to know that what I'm doing is actually making a difference.
Yes.
So for me, that was a key piece. And like, okay, like right now where I'm at, like this is not the type of clientele they're going after. So let me build my own thing, and then I can figure out my own path, and I can find different partners to work with. Like, I'm all about
Mhm,
creative art, so I want to be working with art related institutions, museums, galleries. Like, I have so many ideas, but I knew for me to be able to see those through, that I had to do my own thing,
mhm, mhm.
and
That's
kind of
awesome.
like, build that path for myself.
And that just makes me think that when you're building, building your brand, that it's not just about um, self-promotion or being seen. Like everything that you've said, Mo, is connected to um, something bigger than you, right? Like
Yeah.
you're just talking about the health of our communities, right? And connecting with those folks that are doing that work and giving them the tools and the resources to help them do that work. So, and that again is why I wanted to talk to women who are doing amazing things, that is realizing it's just bigger than us. It's not about, oh, look at me, here's my brand, this is what I do. But realizing that, there's an end goal that we're working towards. And Mo, you got your work cut out for you. I'm just going to tell you that as a public health professional.
I know.
You got your
I
work
fully
cut out for you,
understand.
but it's folks like you that are, that's helping to move that needle, to move the needle. So you just got to keep doing what you do. All right. So I want to few things. I want to bring it back a little bit I want to make it personal. And what do you do for, and I'm not going to use the buzzword self-care. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, what is self-care? I was like, it's like, it's doing something for me, it's like restoration, right? After I've poured out, like just last week, I locked myself in the bathroom for a couple of hours and I washed my hair, did a home facial, and it was little Friday, and it was restoration for me. I poured out all week. With coworkers or with the family or other things, just poured out. And it's like, okay, I just need time to restore what has been poured out. So between just doing the things that I did and meditation or what have you. So I won't say self-care. What do you do for restoration? Because as a entrepreneur, business owner, I could imagine that your weeks are full, you're always pouring out, you're always creating, which takes energy. So what do you do for restoration?
I will always advocate, first and foremost, that doing nothing, absolutely nothing, is a form of restoration. We have been programmed in this country to think that like productivity is the end goal and how to optimize and hack and do 15 million things at once. Humans are not biologically designed to do 15 million things at once. There is no hack because we're not supposed to be operating at this level all the time. So sometimes restoration is like, I'm gonna sit on this couch. I'm gonna, maybe it's pour myself a glass of wine, have some ginger ale, have a smoothie, whatever it looks like, right? I'm gonna watch something that does not require me to use a single brain cell. And I'm not going to feel guilty about it afterwards. That is restoration.
And look, that's the tricky part. That last part, though, is not feeling guilty.
It's very hard, because then you're like, I could have did this, I could have did that. Yes. It's so hard. Like, we literally have been wired, especially as women. And I think part of that is because we're just expected to do so much more. We're expected to take care of everyone else, do our job, take care of the family, take care of the house. Then once the parents start aging,
that's a whole nother show.
It's a lot, right? So just being able to sit down and do nothing, that's one. I think everyone needs to find what restoration looks like for them, because some stuff might not work for you. Like, I know I love meditating, but some people are like, that just does not do it for me. Going for a run, like when I have a lot of anxious energy, I'm like, let me just go out there and run this out, because I can't hold it in anymore. It's got to go. Sleep. I don't sleep as much as I should, so anytime I can squeeze in a nap, ooh, sometimes them 30, 45-minute naps just
Get you a power nap.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that one form of writing actually fills my cup back up, and that's songwriting. So for me, like when I feel drained, maybe like intellectually, like I've been working on a lot of strategy, I've been staring at the screen all day, I've been crunching numbers and running analytics, and I just want to turn on my creative mind, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to feel drained. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it's songwriting, something about pulling out my guitar, strumming those strings, feeling that music hit me, something about singing along to my own words and like just the vibrations that move through your body. For me, that just fills me right back up. Like
Awesome. Awesome.
to the point where sometimes it'll be like 2 o'clock and I'm like, let me just block out my calendar. I need an hour and I'll just whip out
Yeah.
song, and
Yeah.
then I'll go back to the computer and start working again. But yeah, that for me is definitely something that fills my cup back up.
So should we stand by for a single coming out soon or something? I mean, I'm just saying.
It's like it's a quarter. It's a quarter of my. I've been I've been doing more to like get over my because I'm an anxious person, so of course I have stage fright. So I've been working on just playing, singing. I've been taking some lessons. I use an app that's like really helpful. It helps you with like your timing and how well you're playing the strings and everything. So I've been working on like getting technically better so that I
Mhm.
can like have all the confidence I need to hop on and do like open mic night. So stay tuned. Some things are
All right, we're
percolating.
gonna bring you back when you do open mic. I can't wait for that.
Okay.
Um, so I'm sure I know you do when you have time reading or listening to books or podcasts. Um, and this is my shameless way of always getting something new on my list. So what have you read lately or listening to that folks can write down?
I have it right here. It's gonna seem odd, but it makes sense. I was in the airport with my mom, oddly enough. This is after I left and started my own business, so she was supportive, but at this point. Um, but I was like, I really just want something to read on the plane, but I was tired of looking at screens. So I was like, let me just go into one of these little stores in the airport and buy a book.
Mhm.
And I stumbled across this. It's Harvard Business Review's 10 must reads. And this one is on managing yourself.
Hmm.
So this is like a collection of essays that came out in Harvard Business Review about self-management from, a
Uh-huh.
bunch of different executive leaders. I am not even a fifth of the way through the book, and I have so many notes and tools and
Wow.
things just like I we're never really taught how to manage ourselves well. Our emotions, our thought, like we're really not taught. We're taught Pythagorean theorem, but we're not taught how
Mhm.
to really manage like being a human in our day-to-day experiences. And
Mhm.
this has been
Mhm.
helpful for me in trying to understand what works for me. How can I manage my time better, my focus? It just, like when you just start reading and learning about something, you come up with new terms. You're like, oh, I was experiencing this. Now I have a name for it. Now I know some tips on how to
Mhm.
it's been very helpful for me. Every once in a while I'll just read one of the essays and take some notes and I'm like, let me try this, or oh, here's a new technique. Like it for me, it was just it's been helpful. Um and trying to better understand myself and like how
Mhm.
to now that I'm my own boss. Nobody tells you that when you're your own boss, there's nobody hovering over you. There's no like, how do I keep myself accountable? How do I manage
Right.
myself so that I
Right.
can perform my best? So that oddly enough, the airport book find has been instrumental.
Y'all don't sleep on the books in the airport, all right? Because y'all didn't heard Mo what she said. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
So nerdy,
So,
but yes, very.
uh, no, Mo, it's what you want to do, and you're reading it, and you're getting nuggets from it. So that's good. So, um, my last question, and just bringing it back to vision. Where is Let's Talk Public Health in 5 years?
I mean, hopefully out of the small little office I've carved for myself in this apartment. No, uh, I I dream of building something that really is like a go-to source. Like in my mind, when students are entering an undergraduate or graduate public health program and they're taking a health communication course, in some way, shape, or form, I want something from Let's Talk Public Health to be in there. And I don't mean that as like a conceited or like hubris way.
Mhm.
I'm just hoping that these tools and resources, like as I have ideas, as I'm reading what others are doing, I'm going through my Google alerts and seeing all the campaigns that are being developed and what's working and what's not working, that somehow all of the work I'm doing to distill all that information and get it out there, that it's reaching the people that it needs to reach. And that I have like a solid team of people that are helping me do this. So I
Yeah,
can have more healthier habits in my life, and it's not
yeah,
all on
yeah,
me.
yeah.
But yeah, like I see Let's Talk Public Health being almost like a network, um, where we've had students who have been interns and fellows taking what they learned
Yeah.
and building
Uh-huh.
up the skills at their organizations and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And that hopefully we'll see some things changing and some better health outcomes in this country.
Yes. Yay! Listen, I'm excited for where you are now and where you're going. I'm going to make sure that I drop all the handles for Let's Talk Public Health in the description, because I want you all to follow this amazing organization that is doing great work. And I'm just looking forward to the continued impact that the organization and that Mo is going to make. And I just want to thank you for talking with me, because you just defined and confirmed the title of Her Brand, Her Way. Like, it's not it's not how it, you're not following all these other steps. Like, you're figuring it out and you did it your way. And so I just want to thank you so much for just taking time to chat with me. And I want to bring you back, because I want to hear some more about, like, I need to hear like the day. What is a day in the life of being your own boss? What does that look like for Let's Talk Public Health? Because it looks different for different
Yeah.
people, right? So, but thank you again for your time, and be blessed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm gonna shamelessly plug that Glennis's devotional. If you're watching this and you're feeling moved and you're ready to get out of the stuck place that you may be in, that dissatisfaction, you just can't take it anymore, her devotional will help take you through the steps and
I'll
get
drop
you
that link
thinking
in the
about
description.
what it is you can do. Yeah, put the link up there. Don't because I know she won't she won't come in here and take over and talk about it, so I'm gonna talk about it. It'll help take you through some of the things that she took me through when I was first coming up with the thing that would be eventually called Let's Talk Public Health. And it's just a great resource, so you should definitely check it out.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's going to make a wonderful commercial that I'm going to insert in all the episodes. All the episodes. But thank you for your time. Thank you all for watching, which I guess is now Her Brand, Her Way. And so hopefully you'll tune in for the next episode, again, where we are having conversations with amazing women who are doing amazing things and building their brands and activating their purpose and using their God-given talents to bless the world. Thank you.
That's a sound bite. And rap.
Did you enjoy that episode of Her Brand, Her Way? If so, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications so you don't miss the next one. Also, I hope that the discussion sparked inspiration within you, leaving you with new insights and ideas to ponder. I understand that building a brand is not always easy. You can quickly get in your way, and sometimes we need a little push or prompt to get us going. So I created just a quick free guide that provides 5 prompts that will help you jumpstart your personal brand. Check out the link in the description and see you next time.